have heard a really epic story about what happened when a new person did try to run a brush mower one time near Wanigan.
Yeah,
And I think everybody would love to hear that story.
dude. So you know the book Alexander's No Good, Terrible, Bad Day. The, this is the absolute worst day of trail work that we've ever had to date. And yeah, man, it was just another one of those perfect storm of events where I had a crew of newbies that were coming that were willing to. It was a guy that has his own business, and he offered to bring his crew out, take the day off of work, and he brought his employees out to help with trail maintenance, which was awesome, right? Like we needed the help. This was 2014. This is towards the end. Like we're pretty far south, and like we're almost done. And we had one mower that was broken down. It was getting fixed up. We thought it was going to be fixed by this day. And so we all meet in Medora, and I get to Medora that morning, and the mower's not fixed yet. So Easton, Lauren, Morlock from Dakota Cyclery, and I are working on fixing this mower, and it's a big job, right? It's a big fix. And then the Dickinson crew pulls in, and they're like ready to go, and they have a time limit. And so I'm like, I've got this giant, we called her Big Bertha. I got this giant brush mower, Forest Service mower in the back of my truck, and that's the one I plan on taking out with Easton. The one we're fixing is smaller, a little bit more manageable, and it was the one I wanted to send with the newbies. And so,
Yeah.
I asked them, like, are you guys mechanical at all? Like, does this look like a job? Like, could you put this smaller mower back together and then take this one to Wanigan? And he's like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. He's like, why don't you just give me that mower in the back of your truck? And I'm like, dude, my gut is telling me don't send Big Bertha. Don't do it. And I'm just sitting there like rolling through the scenarios in my mind, and I'm like, oh, these guys came all the way from Dickinson. They're here. They want to work. They have to be back in Dickinson this afternoon. Like, all right. And I got to make a decision. And so I decide to send Big Bertha with the Dickinson crew. And I said, go to Wanigan, mow south, and then like whatever you do not take Big Bertha up the switchbacks. Do not take this mower up the Wanigan switchbacks. Okay. So Dickinson crew rolls
Well,
out.
and we gotta add some context that like the Wanigan switchbacks feel they're incredibly high and they feel like as sketchy as anything on the Maah Daah Hey trail
So
because they're
exposed,
just so
so
exposed.
tight. Yep,
Yeah.
such narrow trail, right? Like so narrow, and then yeah, and the consequence of failure is so high. And so, anyways, we slap this broken mower back together. We get it running. It's ready to go. Easton and I loaded in my truck, and we blast out to Wanigan, and we're gonna swap mowers, right? We're gonna take back Big Bertha and give them the small one to go out and do another section of trail. We pull into the campground, and as we pull in, there's a couple guys in the parking lot. I jump out of the truck. I'm like, hey, like, we got the other mower. Where's your mower? And guy kind of looks down, a little bit, little sheepishly. He points to the switchbacks, and we we look up to the switchbacks, and we can see dust from the mower, and then we hear this voice cry out from the buttes. And it says, "This guy, help! I'm gonna lose it!" And the next thing we know, Big Bertha is tumbling down the Wanigan switchback, just like pieces flying off everywhere. And I just like I can't believe this is happening. And so we get the mower, we get it back to the camp, we swap mowers. Easton and I start fixing Big Bertha, and we tell Dickinson crew, go to the next road crossing and mow to, this is what's been mowed. If you can mow to the old mile marker 22, now the mile markers have changed. But if you can mow
Yeah.
to the old mile marker 22, there's some old wooden switchbacks there. It's the only section, it's the only part on the trail that has wooden switchbacks. I'm like, there's a little dirt work that needs to be done there. And then, like that only leaves this tiny section of trail left for tomorrow. Because then what Easton and I will get done today, I'll come back and finish tomorrow. We send out Dickinson. They go out, they mow, they go home to Dickinson. Easton and I, we go out and mow our big section. We did we took a big chunk that day with Big Bertha. We get back to the truck and we're at the road crossing where it's only like 2 miles to go to get to mile marker 22. And we've got Big Bertha, and we're exhausted from that day's work, and it's not quite sunset. We've got a few hours before sunset, and I looked at him and I'm like, dude, do you want to just should we just finish this up today? And he goes, yeah, let's go for it. And so we take off with Big Bertha and we head south to go meet their mowing at mile marker 22. We get to mile marker 22 and there's no sign of their mowing. And so we call and I'm like, hey, did you guys, how far did you get? And he's like, well, I think we got there. I'm not quite sure. I'm like, well, no, you didn't get there. Cause we're here. I was like, did you have to do some dirt work? He's like, well, yeah, we did some dirt work. Dude, so East and I we're doing dirt work. We're mowing, we're doing more dirt work, and it's like the sun has set and we have not found their mowing yet. And the sun goes down, it's dark. Big Bertha is shooting flames out of where the muffler used to be. And I'm just hauling down the trail. Easton's following with the string trimmer. Finally, dude, by moonlight, we find where the Dickinson crew left off, and we meet up with their mowing. We turn around to go out, and it's like there's so much more to the whole story. We had stopped for a dirt dig, and it was I I'm hearing these sounds in the bushes, and usually you hear a big sound and it's a small animal, right? Like it's a bird or a squirrel rustling in the leaves, and it sounds like something big and scary, but it's just this tiny little thing. Um, and it's like the bigger the animal, the quieter they are, the stealthier they are. But the thing is, mule deer, there's a lot of mule deer in the Badlands. They're super stealthy, but once they know you're close, they get spooked, and
Yeah.
they'll blow their nose, and then they'll hop off, and you can hear it's a very distinct sound. Even if you can't see them, you know it's a mule deer by the way they hop. And
Yeah.
so I'm hearing these. We're digging, and I'm hearing these really small, stealthy noises in the bushes, and I'm like, it's not a small animal, and it's not a mule deer. I'm like, Easton, I think there's a mountain lion.
Yeah, there's not many animals left that you can pick from.
I'm like, I think that this is a mountain lion. And I'd been coyote hunting with a friend, and we had called for coyotes, and I've heard similar noises, and never seen a coyote, never saw a mountain lion. But then when we packed up our gear from calling and went to hike out on the trail, there's fresh mountain lion tracks over the top of our boot tracks, right? Never saw it,
Yeah.
didn't know, but heard these tiny, and I'm like, dude, call me crazy, but I think there's a mountain lion in these bushes. And so okay, so it turns into we're pushing Big Bertha through the Badlands in the dark, and I hand off my 38 special handgun to Easton. He's got my handgun in one hand. He's got a flashlight in the other hand, and he's trying to shine light for me to push the mower, and at the same time scanning, looking for this mountain lion that's hunting us. And dude, it's just when you think it can't get any worse, we get to Crooked Creek, and I'm going down to Crooked Creek with Big Bertha, and it's there's just dust swirling everywhere, and the light from the flashlight, it's like when you're trying to drive through really thick fog, and all you see is your headlights hitting that cloud of fog, and that's what it's like. And I'm going blindly down into this creek, and all of a sudden Big Bertha drops off into the creek, and
Oh,
those
jeez.
old DR brush mowers, they you could lock the differential, so it was they're two-wheel walk behind mowers, but this when you lock the differential, it's like having it in four-wheel drive. And this heavy mower drops into the creek, and the tires came off of the trail, and they're spinning in, full speed fourth gear. And all of a sudden, as I'm trying to fight the mower through, the wheels catch traction, and my hands are like grip locked to the handlebars of that mower. And when the wheels caught, it pulled the mower down into the creek, and I couldn't let go, and it pulled my back out. And so now I'm in the bottom of Crooked Creek with the mower with a broken back, and we have a little over a mile to get back to the truck. And dude, it was the most painful mile. We get out, we get to the truck, and I just dropped the tailgate. I took a handful of Advil and I cracked open 2 PBRs, and I just chugged these 2 PBRs and laid on my tailgate and thought that, like, this is, what are we doing out here? This is the worst day of my life.
If you want to watch the full interview, you can click on that right here, or you can watch whatever YouTube thinks you'll like best from my channel right here.